Now, the next interview today will be with Richard Schumacher, founder and CEO of Pressure BioSciences. Let's go to that interview. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Rick, your sample preparation solutions are enabling technology in the life science industry globally. Let's start off the interview with a brief overview of the technology.
Sure. We are a life science tools company. That means we make instruments with associated consumables that we sell to the research market all over the world. This is the medical research market made up of approximately 500,000 researchers that study cells. These cells can be viruses, bacteria. These cells can be human, animal, plant, microbe. They can be normal, abnormal, diseased, cancerous, precancerous. The information we want to get as scientists is generally inside of those cells. It's the DNA, the RNA, the proteins, and the lipids. So we make an instrument that uses pulses of pressure, anywhere from normal pressure to extremely high pressure, to bust open the cells in a way that's extremely controllable, much different than any other method out there now, and allows these scientists to get to the what we call the biomolecules and start studying them, looking for hopefully the next cure, the next preventive strategy, the next great diagnostic.
Now, Rick, what's the essential value proposition for Pressure BioSciences?
Well, I would say that we understand that the discovery of new drugs and new cures is going to come primarily from studying the biomolecules inside the cell, and that the methods for getting these biomolecules out really haven't changed. John, as you know, I'm a scientist. I've been in the lab many years. I spent my first 15 years in the lab at Harvard Medical School doing research. And the methods I used to break open cells back in the 1980s, believe it or not, are still being used a great deal today. So what Pressure BioSciences has done is we've developed a whole new method. We've got 15 patents surrounding our intellectual property. And it's a method of basically squeezing cells, putting cells under pressure in an instrument that has a pressure chamber where we control the pressure. And it's like squeezing a sponge. We squeeze the cell. We squeeze it on and off until it breaks. But what's different is we can control the amount of pressure, how long under pressure, and how many times you turn the pressure on and off. We're competing against methods that I used, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and many thousands, hundreds of thousands of scientists are still using today, which are mainly mechanical, where we're actually beating away at the cells, spinning them with beads and beating them to break them. And that's really not a great method to control the process. We believe our method has a lot of inherent advantages that are not found in the methods that have been used for the last 30, 40, 50 years.
Thank you. Rick, talk to us about the business model. How do you make money?
Well, we make an instrument, and the instrument has consumables. So it's the old razor blade story. The instrument we actually have three instruments on the market now. One of them is our primary instrument. We call it the 2320 Extreme. We developed this instrument over a number of years, made a major modification in last year, and changed the name from the 2320 to the 2320 Extreme. This has a lot of bells and whistles. It's gotten a lot of reviews. It won an award in March as the best new instrument in the research field for preparing samples in the entire North America. Very, very proud of that. We won CE mark approval in February. So we sell the instrument, and with it, we sell the consumables. So if you, as a scientist, have 50 or 500 or 500,000 bacteria, viruses, cells to break open, each one has to have its own test tube, its own special test tube that can be used in our pressure chamber. So we sell the instrument, we sell the recurring revenue with the test tubes, and we allow the scientists, we think, a better method to break those cells, but it will require our instrument and a test tube for every sample they want to break.
Now, Rick, product and service revenues was up 16% in the first quarter, while sales of the consumables increased more than 40%. What's driving that growth, and how big is the market opportunity?
Well, the market, we think, is rather large. As I said earlier, we think that there are probably 500,000 biological researchers that have to break open cells that are working right now, and they're working in human disease, animal disease. They're working on anti-bioterror. They're working on things that you and I need, like how to fix balding. They're working on many, many other things. And they need our instrument, we believe, as a way to break open the cells, to find the secrets to find that next cure or that vaccine or that preventive strategy. And so the market is rather large. We think it's in the multi-billions of dollars. It's an existing market. It's we don't have to make a market. We don't have to explain why someone needs this. We have to explain why ours is better. And the way you do that is you get key opinion leaders from all over the world to use it, and you get them hopefully to publish and present their data. And that's what we spent the last 4 years doing. We've gotten in a half a dozen of the top leading protein experts in the world, and also some leading DNA and lipid experts. And they are now publishing on the advantages of our system in their lab. And there's nothing like having one of the top scientists in the US or one of the top scientists in Europe explain that they use the Barocycler 2320 Extreme, and this is why they use it. We don't have to do a lot of selling that way. It kind of sells itself once you're able to get those publications to the potential customer.
Now, Rick, let's go back to the stock. You've recently completed a reverse split, and you've been working towards a NASDAQ listing. Can you provide us an update on the status of a listing on the NASDAQ, and do you have any remaining requirements that need to be met?
Well, we made it very clear almost a year ago we wanted to move the company back to the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ stock market enables us to do a lot of things we can't do while we're on the OTC. Now, we are on the over-the-counter, but we're also a QB company, which is, I believe there's about 500 companies that are in the top tier of the over-the-counter, and we're in that group. But we need to go to the next step. The next step is to a national base marketplace, and that would be either NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. A lot of biotech companies go on NASDAQ, so we made that public. We've filed the right forms and documents with the Securities and Exchange Commission. We've met with NASDAQ. We've met with other groups. And one of the last things one needs to do is to when the stock is below $4 on the NASDAQ is you have to get the $4. And generally the way that's done is by having a split. So we did a split that affected this week on Monday, and we took the stock, and it's now at $7 range. And we've said publicly that we believe that we can meet all the requirements and that we could perhaps have the whole process done by June 30th, and if not by June 30th, by maybe a week or two afterwards. So we're still on that timetable. We're still enthusiastic about it. We're enthusiastic about having being on the NASDAQ. Stockbrokers will finally be able to talk about our stock, because they can't while we're on the OTC. They really can't go out and try to get people into our stock. And we don't have any institutional support now. We don't have any institution that's really purchased stock in our company, and that should change, we believe, once we're on the NASDAQ. So exciting times, and I don't think we're that far away. Again, publicly, I stated just 2 weeks ago that sometime around June 30th, which is in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we could find ourselves uplisted to the NASDAQ Stock Exchange.
All right, thank you, Rick. Now, in summary, why should investors take an interest in Pressure BioSciences today?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, we believe we're on the cutting edge of this area of science. It's absolutely critical. When a scientist sits down to do their experiment, one of the first things they have to do is prepare the sample. It sounds a little simple, and it's far from simple. It is critical. Imagine how you break open. Let's just take a walnut, and you want to have a walnut. You can take a hammer or a sledge and smash it, and you'll break it open. Or you can take a nice little handy thing and crack it in half and then open it. We're the guys that can control the cracking of the cell that way. We can control it so that when you break it, we believe you'll get a higher quality and perhaps even some things out of the cell that you might not get. And these have been proven true, and we have papers that are on our website where investors can go and see where leading scientists have said they found proteins in cells they didn't know were in those cells because of the way that they break the cells using our technology. So you've got a brand new method that is, let's just say, we think it's superior to what's out there. And our papers from our key opinion leaders will speak to that. There's over 100 on our website that speak to its benefits and advantages over current methods. We have 15 patents to protect our method. I personally, as you know, have done it before. This is my 4th publicly traded company. The previous 3 were all highly successful. They had market caps combined of over $1 billion. And this company today Pressure BioSciences has a market cap of about 15 to 20 million, totally diluted from its stock and preferred stock. We're in a market that is growing. We are a company that can work with anybody because our system doesn't depend on what's downstream from it, the instrument downstream. If you have to break open a cell to read it downstream, whether you're reading RNA, DNA, protein, lipid, or anything else, we can be the guy upstream. We have the key market leaders that are supporting us, and they're coming on more and more as each month and each year goes by. Our sales have increased from every quarter, pretty much, from and every year from under $1 million to $1 million to $1.5 million to last year just about $2 million. We're going on the NASDAQ. We hope. There's no guarantee, but our expectation is going on the NASDAQ stock exchange, which will open us up to hundreds of thousands and tens of thousands of potential investors that are not there. So the list is many, John. I appreciate the question. I hate to give you 5 or 6 or 8 answers, and there's probably another 8, but we're excited about the opportunity. We think we're undervalued. We think we're that undervalued gem that people haven't paid much attention to. And perhaps now with everything that's going on, we'll get a little bit more of the recognition we believe we should get.
Rick, thanks for being on the show today. Always a pleasure to hear from you.
Thank you.
Now, to get more information about Pressure BioSciences or learn about other public companies that we represent, visit redchip.com. While you're there, subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Join the RedChip Nation today. You'll get a plethora of stock ideas on emerging growth companies, interviews, research reports, industry news, and much, much more. And it's all free.